Hey, what's up folks? We're excited to bring you one of the most exciting devices this fall. A device by Sony that is compact yet packing flagship grade specs. We're talking about the Sony Xperia Z3 Compact. The Sony Xperia Z3 Compact comes with the same size body as last year's Z1 Compact, but packs a larger 4.6-inch display and it gets a newer processor, the same excellent 20-megapixel camera with some improvements, and much more. Let's find out what it's all about in the review. With a mass exodus to larger screens and subsequently bigger devices all across the Android top end, the spec-stuffed Sony Xperia Z3 Compact is a welcome change with its petite dimensions. In fact, it retains the same width and height as its 4.3-inch predecessor, while at the same time packing a more spacious 4.6-inch display. It's also thinner and lighter. Little changes make a big difference in the design of the Xperia Z3 Compact. First, the bolder colors. You have white, black, orange and green that add more character, but also we now have plastic material with a very captivating translucent finish, something that Sony calls a rounded liquid reflection frame. It definitely makes the Z3 Compact design stand out. The phone also comes with tempered glass panels on the back and the front, which don't get scratched as easily as the plastic panels on the Z1 Compact. Notice also how Sony uses 4 separate pieces of plastic on the 4 edges of the phone to add to its impact resistance. All buttons are on the right side, and while comfortable to press, they are a bit on the small side. The left of the phone is where all the ports and slots are located, all of them protected with lids. Right between them is a magnetic connector that you can use with the proprietary Sony dock. And this will save you the effort of opening up the lids every time you need to charge the phone. One of the best features of Sony's lineup is waterproofing, and the Z3 Compact is no exception. It's protected against dust and can withstand immersion in fresh water up to 5 feet deep for as long as 30 minutes, which is definitely nice. The Z3 Compact comes with a 4.6-inch 720p IPS display featuring Sony's Triluminous technology. If you're wondering whether a 720p resolution is not a critical flaw, the short answer is no. Pixel density stands at 319 ppi, which translates into a fairly sharp picture. On the flip side, a 720p display consumes less energy than a 1080p one, which in turn allows for longer battery life. Color accuracy is though a bit off on the Z3 Compact. The screen has a very visible colder bluish tint with color temperature reaching 10,000K, way above the 6,500K neutral standard. Color balance in grayscale is a lot skewed towards the blue, and this drives color saturations way off as well. Luckily, color purists have the option to adjust color balance, and with some fiddling you can improve the color accuracy a lot. We tweaked it to the following values: red goes to 250, green to 190 and blue to 0 to get much more balanced colors, but you can experiment on your own. Sony advertises its Triluminous technology as delivering 30% wider coverage than the industry standard sRGB color gamut. That's hardly an advantage though. Most images and videos are made with the sRGB standard in mind, and everything above and below would just look less than ideal. Sony's X-Reality is another feature that boosts contrasts even further, making for even more eye-popping colors. Naturally, this worsens rather than fixing the color accuracy issue. One of the areas where the Z3 Compact does show a marked improvement is brightness. We measured 450 nits, which makes for a great real-life outdoor viewing experience. Viewing angles are also excellent, with little distortion to colors and brightness when you tilt the device. The Z3 Compact ships with the latest of Android 4.4 KitKat with Sony's custom Xperia user interface on top. Sony's skin is a fairly clean and clutter-free UI that stands out with a snappy speed of operation. The lock screen features a neat camera shortcut so that you can start shooting quickly by just swiping up. When the screen is locked, you can also knock on it 2 times to see the time without waking it up fully. The Xperia skin features rich customization options, and you can add or delete panels easily, as well as rearrange applications in different orders such as alphabetical. Basic functionality is also well covered. The phone app opens up quickly, it has a simple utilitarian look, and shows you your most often contacted people at the top, which is convenient. The messaging follows the same route of simplistic, not overcrowded looks. We love the fact that you can customize the stock keyboard and add quick access to symbols and numbers. There are quite a few novelties and Sony exclusive in the interface as well. First, a nice new option is to record your screen on video. Just hold the power lock key and select the appropriate option. Remote play is clearly one of the biggest new features in the Xperia Z3 Compact though. An exclusive to the Xperia Z3 range, it allows you to hook up a PlayStation 4 via Wi-Fi and stream games to your phone, so you can play even when someone else is using the home TV. We're happy to say that the Z3 Compact is also impressively quick and boasts a buttery smooth performance. It comes with a Snapdragon 801 system chip with a quad-core Crate 400 processor running at up to 2.5 GHz and an Adreno 330 GPU clocked at up to 578 MHz. There's also 2 GB of RAM. Now, boasting top specs makes the Z3 Compact a great device for stressful applications like games, and the fact that the 720p display puts less strain on the processor makes for even smoother frame rates in games. The Z3 Compact comes with 16 GB of internal storage, of which around 12 are actually available to the end user, but luckily you can expand the memory via microSD cards of up to 128 GB. The Z3 Compact ships with Chrome as the default browser. Chrome stands out with its zippy loading speeds, nicely optimized for touch card-based interface, and great cross-device syncing capabilities. Surfing the web is a smooth ride. Pages load quickly and zooming in and out happens without a stutter. In terms of connectivity, you have support for 4G LTE speeds with up to 140 megabits per second on the downlink. Other connectivity options include dual-channel Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, GPS and NFC, and it's also worth mentioning that the Z3 Compact supports USB host and FM radio. The Z3 Compact comes with a 20 megapixel main camera with a single LED flash and a 2.2 megapixel front shooter. Now, the main camera features a 1 to 2.3 inches sensor, the largest of all Android sensors out there. Compared to an average for a flagship 1 to 3 inch sensor, it's nearly 64% bigger. At the same time, because of the high megapixel count, pixel size comes in at the pretty small 1.1 micron pixels. In terms of optics, Sony includes one of the widest lenses we've seen on Android. A 25mm G lens that's great for shooting landscapes as more content gets into the frame, but it's also a bit of an extreme lens for shooting everything else. Aperture is set at f2.0, making this also one of the fastest smartphone lenses out there. And if we had to summarize the camera app, it is more of the same, where by more we mean a lot of additional modes, and by same we mean that it keeps the visual style of earlier Xperia Zs. More options is not necessarily a good thing. It tends to get overcomplicated and cramped with tabs, lists, options, modes, etc. For instance, a simple thing like enabling HDR requires you to switch to manual mode and shoot in 8 megapixel resolution, otherwise the setting is simply not available. Unbelievable. What about the image quality though? We recommend using the simple 8 megapixel images captured in superior auto in most cases. Images in this mode look very good with lively color and plentiful detail. They're not perfect though, and the camera occasionally misjudges colors as it is slow to adjust its white balance. Indoors, the camera keeps noise at a reasonable level and colors are pleasingly balanced. With the flash on, we do get a very slight blue cast, but on the whole picture quality is good. Up front, there is a 2.2 megapixel shooter that does a decent but not stellar job with selfies. And what about video quality? The Z3 Compact adds 4K video recording capabilities, but it does warn you that the app might shut down if, or rather when, the handset overheats. And we've seen this happen around the 5-minute mark. 4K video, however, has a more pronounced rolling shutter distortion and it does not support Sony's excellent digital stabilization. For all those reasons, it still seems like 1080p will be the preferred resolution to record video in. The Z3 Compact shoots 1080p at either 30 frames or 60 frames per second, and digital stabilization is shockingly good. Colors and details in video are also very good, but surprisingly continuous autofocus is not very fast. The handset also records stereo sound and does a good job at filtering out wind and other noises. There are a few notable Sony first-party apps that often replace the stock Android ones. Sony's Album app is a neat gallery that you can pinch to zoom in and out, and you have some basic photo editing options bundled in as well. Sony brings its Walkman app for music and it supports the new DCHX codec that allows you to play high-res audio files. It's worth mentioning that Sony uses a new 5-pin 3.5mm headset jack in the Z3 Compact that allows for better noise cancellation when used with Sony headsets, but it's still compatible with all other headsets, of course. For music, the Z3 Compact speakers are louder than in the predecessor, but sound quality, while good, is not ideal and comes out a bit muffled, likely because of the water sealing. Call quality is very good on the Xperia Z3 Compact. Voices in the earpiece are sufficiently loud and clarity is good but not perfect. You can recognize the natural tonality of your caller's voices, but they do sound a bit muffled. On the other end of the line, call quality is excellent. The microphone conveys voices clearly and loudly, and there are in fact two mics on the device which allow for noise cancellation and filtering out of side noises. The Xperia Z3 Compact ships with an extremely large for its size 2600 mAh battery and an even bigger promise for a phenomenal 2-day battery life. We're happy to say that the phone lives up to Sony's promises. Our battery life test that replicates real-life usage shows that the phone survives a record 10 hours and 2 minutes of non-stop use. That's the most of any non-phablet sized smartphone and means that you should be getting 2 days off the charger in most cases. Recharging the phone from 0 to 100% however is a bit slow, as the phone does not seem to support quick charge. It took us more than 3 hours and 20 minutes to fully replenish the Z3 Compact's battery. We're also very happy to see that Sony has added a new Ultra Stamina mode that turns wallpapers into black and white, caps processor speeds, and leaves only bare bones functionality. This is made to squeeze the most out of your battery, and with a 40% left of charge, the Z3 Compact in Ultra Stamina mode claims it can last for more than 4 days, which is impressive. So all in all, the Xperia Z3 Compact brings a 4.6-inch display in this very compact body in a premium design, but all of this comes with a very alluring price tag. You have a $499 full off-contract retail price for the Xperia Z3 Compact, and this is in euro. The handset has not yet been released in the United States, but we guess the price will be around the same off-contract level. And why is this alluring? Simple. Direct rivals are priced higher. The Samsung Galaxy Alpha, for instance, costs $100 or €100 more at $599, so you have a good price for the Xperia Z3 Compact. What else do you have? First, this unique translucent finish, the tempered glass on the back and the front, the great performing 20 megapixel camera, a decent display, not the greatest, but a decent display, and you have a very powerful Snapdragon 801 chip for a true flagship grade performance. Now we're speaking about an Android device here, so you know there is a lot of competition. First and foremost, the aforementioned Galaxy Alpha with a slightly larger 4.7-inch display, a sturdy metal frame, no longer plastic, so that's a good thing. And it also has a nice design, powerful performer as well, with a nice 16 megapixel camera. So overall, the two devices are on par, but the Galaxy Alpha, remember, is the more expensive one. You also have minis in the Android world, and those are similarly compact devices, but they're just not as powerful. You have a 4.3, 4.5 inch display on some devices like the HTC One Mini 2, the Galaxy S5 Mini. They're cheaper, but they cannot match the performance of this thing right here. If you want a cheaper price, you should definitely take a look at them. The HTC One Mini 2 in particularly is a very well designed handset. So if you want the design, it might be another choice. But overall, we're looking at the device with a phenomenal battery life here in the Xperia Z3 Compact, and that probably is its biggest advantage over any of its rivals. It ranked on top of our battery rankings with a battery rating of around 2 days of full use. So you definitely, if you want the battery life, this is the device to get. For a more detailed review, make sure to go to PhoneArena.com, and thanks for watching.